What is jazz? Jazz is a kind of music in which improvisation is typically an important part. In most jazz performances, players play solos which they make up on the spot, which requires considerable skill. There is tremendous variety in jazz, but most jazz is very rhythmic, has a forward momentum called swing, and uses bent or blue notes. You can often hear call and response patterns in jazz, in which one instrument, voice, or part of the band answers another. You can hear Ella Fitzgerald and Roy Eldridge do call and response in Ella's singing class. Jazz can express many different emotions, from pain to sheer joy. In jazz, you may hear the sounds of freedom, for the music has been a powerful voice for people suffering unfair treatment because of the color of the skin, or because they lived in a country run by a cruel dictator. The nature of jazz. Jazz musicians place a high value on finding their own sound and style, and that means, for example, that trumpeter Miles Davis sounds very different than trumpeter Louis Armstrong, whose sound you can hear in Louis's music class. Jazz musicians like to play their songs in their own distinct styles, and so you might listen to a dozen different jazz recordings of the same song, but each will sound different. The musicians' playing styles make each version different, and so do the improvised solos. Jazz is about making something familiar, a familiar song, into something fresh. And about making something shared, a tune that everyone knows, into something personal. Those are just some of the reasons that jazz is a great art form, and why some people consider it America's classical music. The growth of jazz developed in the United States in the very early part of the 20th century. New Orleans, near the mouth of the Mississippi River, played a key role in this development. The city's population was more diverse than anywhere else in the South, and people of African, French, Caribbean, Italian, German, Mexican, and American Indian, as well as English, descent interacted with one another. African American musical traditions mixed with others, and gradually jazz emerged from a blend of ragtime, marches, blues, and other kinds of music. At first jazz was mostly for dancing. In later years, people would sit and listen to it. After the first recordings of jazz were made in 1917, the music spread widely and developed rapidly. The evolution of jazz was led by a series of brilliant musicians such as Louis Armstrong, Duke Ellington. Listened to Ellington in Duke's music class, Charlie Parker, and Miles Davis.